Hi everybody, welcome back to my 100 Spotify OCs project, the project where I take each song from my Spotify Wrapped 2025 and turn it into an original character. This week's song is called The Miners, and it's a soundtrack from the video game Hardspace Shipbreaker made by Blackbird Interactive. In the video game, you're basically a space scrapper. You work at a junkyard in space for old spaceships, and so the gameplay is taking them apart, and you have to kind of decide what's valuable that can be like recouped, and it goes into one bin, and then you can put stuff in the incinerator if it doesn't matter. You get points for how well you can take apart ships, how quickly you can take apart ships. There's like a through line in the story behind it in which you kind of gradually come to realize that your employer, Lynx, is not a great employer. So your kind of end goal of the game is to make enough money in-game to pay off the debts that you owe to the company, because it works on a company store model, like we're in the Gilded Age again, which we are in the Gilded Age again. I don't know if you guys realize that in real life, but we are. That's beside the point. Anyways, your whole goal is to save up enough to make your own spaceship so you can just go do your own thing and work somewhere else. It's a fun video game. All that in mind, I'm just going to make a space junkyard scrapper, the kind of person you'd run into who runs a solo operation and they're like scavenging ships. It's been done to death, but it's because it's a fun character trope. So that's what I'm gonna make today. I just sharpened my pencil and it turned out real bad. So I thought a lot about what form this character should take. The thing we can connect with probably the easiest is like a humanoid. And when you think about the kind of work that it would do, like the labor of pulling spaceships apart and getting stuff out of them, we're people, so we do it the way that our bodies allow us to do it. So it's the easiest to conceptualize this kind of a character. But on the other hand, we're in space, so I could make anything. I could make another alien. So then I was thinking about how, like, one of the things that I would find useful probably in this scenario is an extra set of arms. So you could do something like the Green Men of Mars from John Carter, where they've got a top set of arms and then they've got a lower set of arms. They're both really long. These are my favorite alien design of all time, by the way. And I like that the 2011 Disney movie got them pretty dang close to the book. And then they've got like long legs, but I can't remember if they have like plantigrade legs, kind of like an animal, or if it's more humanistic. But like, would a second set of arms not be incredibly helpful in an industrial setting? And also dangerous, but you don't go into space scrapping for like the healthcare benefits, you know what I mean? And then I was thinking we could do something totally wild. Like, I finally, because I'm a million years late to every party, I finally watched Project Hail Mary. I love Rocky so much, and I love that he's got 5 little limbs, because that's how most things are, you know? Everything on Earth does have like 5 protrusions from its body, at least when you're in the mammal and bird zone, because you've got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. But I don't want to make an Iridian character, and I don't want to do like a space spider, because I'm really still baffled as to how they hit a balance on him so that he's not in the uncanny valley for viewers, because he is very spidery. So our other option, if we're going to have something with like 6 limbs, like this, something with extra limbs, is we could go like a centaur kind of a deal. He's got 4 legs. That's not very good. And 2 arms. That might be good for like holding on to the exterior of a ship. Like if you've got all of your legs planted on, maybe you have sticky boots or something and that helps you get a good grip. But I don't know how much I want to do a centaur type build. And I thought and I thought and I thought, and I ended up doing none of this stuff. I ended up just wanting to make a person in space. So that's where we're going to be today. So a little bit of what I'm going for here is just showing off all the tools that this person might have. So I've given them ropes and like a grappling hook. I've given them a little bit of a tool belt with some stuff in it. And what I'm trying to do here is they've got like a laser cutter device that they're just kind of slinging over their shoulder because they're at a certain level of comfort with all this gear that they are a little bit casual, I guess. I'm not advocating for putting your laser cutter just like over your shoulder like this because something could happen, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to figure out now what it should look like. It could be kind of cool if it's got, I think there's like a taser or like a personal safety weapon like this actually that's got like two ends that come out and then it creates an electrical arc between them. And then it's got a long stick and like a handle. Yeah, I think this is legit how tasers work. I don't know, I haven't been that close to one. It's my life's goal not to be very close to one. But that could work. You pull this little trigger in and it comes out and there's an electrical arc. That could be a good way for a laser cutter to operate. This doesn't have to be a physical barrier, but maybe there's like a hollow shield around it. Holographic shield, not hollow as in like empty inside. So that you've got like some protection from like hands or anything accidentally going around it into the laser zone. I don't know. It would be cool though. The grappling hook is probably pretty standard grappling hook stuff. I think probably because I kind of went the boring route and made a person, I should make their spaceship as well, or like do a little sketch of it to make up for it. But first I should draw what the person looks like under the mask. I want it to be a girl. I like it when you have girl characters who are like kind of space loners. Maybe she keeps her hair in like a bob and she like ties it in a net or whatever to go under the helmet. There are probably laser eyebrow clinics somewhere in space. And these guidelines are like actually making it harder to draw her face. She's got a long face. I haven't drawn a lot of people with long faces recently, at least not in this project. And I kind of would like if she's a little more like fashion conscious, because so often we get these girls that are space loners and they're like absolute tomboys. I love tomboys and I am a tomboy, but maybe she's in this industry because it's so lucrative so she can get like her eyebrows threaded and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Also, I've decided that shoulder pads have made a comeback by the time we're spacefaring enough for that, so she's got shoulder pads on her little suit. I'm kind of going with like a Star Trek inspiration on her normal clothes. She's even gonna have like the little mod dress, like Star Trek TOS. 3/4 sleeve though, of course. She maybe always still carries her utility belt because it's pretty useful. I think probably her boobs are too low. I still can't draw them. It's just weird. It's weird to have two almost entirely useless appendages attached to your chest, which is like a really useless place for them to be. Like literally the use case for these things affects, I don't even know, maybe like 3% of the population at a time. I don't know how many people are actively nursing an infant. And then the rest of the time they're just there. They're really annoying. I don't recommend them. Anyways, there she is. Her dress is gonna be like green or something, some color that does not get used on Star Trek at all. That way I won't be accused of anything. And she's gonna wear like maybe thigh-high boots, even on the ship. Okay, if her head's this big, her arm, her elbow, your elbow hangs like around your waist. So if I lengthen the arm, do you like how I started that thought with if her head is this big and then started talking about other stuff that actually really doesn't have much to do with head size? That looks a little less bad. Now I gotta give her some kind of a ship. I'm thinking it would be cool if it had the majority of the space in it be like a cargo container. Maybe it's got different bays that she can open at different times so that when she opens it, she doesn't have a bunch of stuff flying out all over the place from other ships that she's scavenged. This is so silly, but I'm almost thinking like an animal control truck, but for junk parts. You know what I mean? How they've got the separate little thingies. I don't want it to look too much like a box truck. I don't want it to look too earthbound in terms of design. So probably what I will do is have there be a couple different storage units like this that are like linked together. Maybe on the tips of the wings, since it kind of doesn't matter at all. Maybe this is like the living quarters. Ooh, and she's gonna need defense too, because that is just the way these things go. So maybe there's another arm that comes out here with like a defense pod. So this is like another place where a person can be inside. So it's got windows. And then it's just got big automated cannons on top. Ooh, wait, okay, if it's kind of shaped like this, then it can have two rods here, and they create like an electrical arc. So she could just ram a spaceship and cut it, like cut through it. And then that kind of mimics the laser cutter design that we made earlier. I kind of like how this spaceship looks a bit like a water bug. That's kind of fun. Gotta get my perspective right though. If this is the prow, I'll make it look a little bit like an airplane, I guess. I'm not sure. So if this is like the living quarters, crew area, etc., and then it's got cargo, 2 cargo bays, 2 defense turrets, basically. I feel like a small child. I'm just kind of like throwing things on. Maybe for propulsion, it's got a larger engine strapped to the top of it. Like maybe it's almost shaped, oh, maybe it could be shaped kind of like a blimp. So this whole thing is like a fuel tank. It works kind of like the first stage of an Earth rocket. Maybe this ship's even been kind of scrapped and welded together because it looks pretty bad in terms of aesthetics. Maybe it's just been kind of purpose-built. And we're getting a weird underside view of it, unfortunately. My perspective is incredibly off yet again. But yeah, like maybe this is the propulsion system and it's just a massive tank that she has to refuel. And she built a living area off the bottom of it, and she built these defense turrets and these storage warehouses, and it just kind of moves through space, and she can cut through ships or she can shoot at them. But she's got kind of a vulnerability on the back end here. There's not like behind defenses. Maybe that's something she's working on for a top-down view so that it's a little more sane. You've got your rocket booster fuel tank. And now that we're in the realm of reusable fuel tanks like this, it's a little more plausible that she could have just purchased or scrapped one of these. And then you've got, one thing is that a spaceship does not have to be aerodynamic in the slightest because you are operating in a vacuum, so it's all going to be frictionless, which is why she can kind of rig together these boxy, square-shaped things and have it still fly. Like, I love a good aerodynamic spaceship, but it's not necessary. I'm going to shorten the fuel tank. That's the one thing, is that the fuel tank needs to be well clear of the laser arc, or you're just going to blow yourself up. I like the level of like security vulnerabilities on this. I almost think like, I don't know, the more risky it is, the more believable it is as like a DIY scrap ship. I also think probably she did not just make this whole ship herself. There might have been, or there might still be, like an additional crew, but this is the character I'm focusing on. Cool, okay. And this is not powered on all the time. This is just a capability of the ship. So this is our character for the miners. I should probably go back and explain spacesuit decisions. These are antennas for comms. She'll have just a visor that she can see through. Maybe there are like side visors too, and then just some supports on the front of it to keep it all together. Super low profile, low maintenance spacesuit. The tall boots again. Really nothing that special here. The utility belt. Yeah, I don't know. I want her to be kind of simple and bare bones when she's in work mode. This episode's artist inspiration is Liminal Wave on Tumblr. They also go by Ether Realm, and that's the link that their shop will be at, but they haven't set it up yet. This person uses Blender to make environments, and then they will take renders of those environments in a vaporwave or a backrooms liminal sort of way, and then they do a little bit of post-processing and put them on the internet, and I love them. The first one I ran into, I actually was like, wait, is this AI? Because I really want to reblog this. So I looked at their blog and I was like, oh, thank God, it's a real person. And I ended up really enjoying their stuff. It's also really cool to see what 3D artists can accomplish, because the first one I encountered, which is a pool scene at sunset, I thought was just a 2D piece of art, but that is made in Blender with a mixture, I'm sure, of 3D and 2D art. But it's got textures and actual environments being rendered in to get that shot. So I just think it's a really cool look that they're able to achieve. I also really like when they dip into vintage video game type imagery, and they've been doing a lot of backrooms imagery since the movie came out. So that is Liminal Wave. I don't think they have any other socials besides Tumblr, but if you're on Tumblr, go give them a follow. And that is our artist inspiration for this week. Yeah, so here's our character for the miners. I keep looking ahead to see what's next and then forgetting what will be next, so I don't really have any hints regarding the next character. But I will also be posting some art fight speed paints, most likely, during the month of July. I am participating in art fight. I can link my profile in the description if anybody wants to attack me or receive an attack there. I'm really enjoying it. I'm very excited to keep making art, both for this channel and for art fight, and for an art business I'm trying to set up. So I'm wearing a lot of hats right now, but they're all good hats. That should be it for today's episode. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with it if you made it to the end. I really appreciate that. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Friday.